Hello and welcome to The Print. Last month, the finance minister tabled the Securities Markets Code Bill in the parliament. This bill seeks to consolidate several laws governing securities markets trading in India. As I discussed in my column earlier this month, the bill has many upsides, but it also has several downsides. A key downside of this bill is that it empowers the government to control commodity derivative trading in India. In my column this month, co-authored with Dr. Harshvardhan, we explain why this control is problematic. Now, a commodity derivatives market is extremely important for any economy. It allows producers and buyers of the underlying commodity to hedge their price risk. Second, a liquid commodity derivatives market enables price discovery for the underlying commodity in the spot market. How does it do this? It does this by bringing together various kinds of speculators, hedgers, investors, producers, and asking them to trade their future price expectations of the commodity in the derivatives market. And the prices that are generated as a result often percolate to the spot market. In short, a commodity derivatives market can send price signals to the real economy, altering consumption and production of the commodity. The Securities Markets Code Bill, by empowering the government to have unlimited control over the commodity derivatives market, is impeding the development of such a liquid commodity derivatives market in India. Government control over commodity trading in India has been a stubborn feature of market governance in India since the British days. In the immediate aftermath of the World War II, government control over commodity trading in India was a part of the wartime governance. But such control was in fact immortalized by the early Indian government immediately after independence. In fact, scholars like Rohit Dey and Ritu Birla often have argued that the Indian government actually imposed these controls more aggressively over commodity trading compared to even its British predecessors. The primary instrument of control is the Essential Commodities Act, which empowers both the central and state authorities to impose all kinds of control on the production, distribution, and storage of essential commodities. These controls can range from stock limits, such as capping the stocks of essential commodities that a person may store, to mandating minimum areas of cultivation, to even export bans. Violation of these controls often leads to criminal fines and imprisonment. Now, these controls may be issued in public interest. So the notions of public interest have varied over the decades. So in the 1950s, these controls were imposed to secure a more equitable distribution of essential commodities. By the 1970s, the justification of these controls was to be able to earn foreign exchange. By 1980s, the justification of these controls was to prevent people from profiteering on these commodities. In short, the reasons for imposing these controls have been as varying as the notion of public interest itself. The Securities Markets Code Bill, in fact, perpetuates such controls over the commodity derivatives market. It empowers the government to declare which commodities will be eligible for being traded in the derivatives segment of the financial market. In the equities market, in contrast, the Securities and Exchange Board of India has issued a rule-based framework for declaring which companies' shares will be eligible for trading in the futures and options segment. So these rules are linked to market capitalization, traded turnover, and liquidity of the underlying stock. Now, compare this to the Securities Markets Code Bill, which prescribes no such rule-based framework, and it does not require the government to issue a rule-based framework for declaring which commodities will be traded in the derivatives market. So, for example, today, oil may be eligible for being traded in the derivatives market, but a few months down the line, it may no longer be eligible for being traded in the derivatives market. This reminds us of a controller of capital issues mindset that existed prior to the 1990s and which was given unlimited power to declare which companies will be eligible for raising funds in the public markets. Since then, we have come a long way and we moved to a disclosure-based regime, a more rule-based regime, and the provisions of the Securities Markets Code Bill, which empower the government to declare which commodities will be eligible for trading in the derivatives market, is akin to the Essential Commodities Act, which empowers the government to impose restrictions on prohibition, storage, and distribution of essential commodities. Our apprehensions that we discuss of unlimited government control over commodity derivatives trading are not merely theoretical. As recently as in December 2021, 7 key agricultural commodities were banned from being traded in the derivatives market. These are wheat, paddy, moong, chana, soybean, mustard, seeds, and palm oil. These commodities accounted for 70% of the turnover of the agricultural commodity derivatives market, and they were banned on the basis that it was necessary to tame food inflation. Did the ban on derivatives trading in these commodities actually tame food inflation? A month on month food inflation analysis in our article shows that food inflation volatility persisted both before the ban and after the ban. Many other researchers have in fact shown that the prices of these commodities did not decline. In fact, the volatility continued even after they were banned from being traded in the commodity derivatives segment. Now, if at all, what this ban did was that it deprived farmers and producers from a forward-looking benchmark, a market that they could actually use to hedge their price risk. For example, in June 2023, you will see that food inflation collapsed quite a bit. And in the absence of the forward-looking benchmarks in the derivatives market, farmers could neither use this market to hedge their price risk or to adjust their production or consumption scenarios. Now, this ban demonstrates yet again that when the government suppresses market signals, it does not solve the underlying problem, but it only suppresses the information that is required to manage that problem. Securities Markets Code Bill cannot merely be seen as some law that consolidates and brings together existing and old laws. This opportunity will not arise again, and it is for the lawmakers to take advantage of this opportunity and disband such 1970s style government control over key commodities in India. Thank you.